the White House and put a person of color in there. You see? So we can do anything we really want to do. You know, Voters' Rights, Civil Rights Act, public accommodations. You know, all these things are things that we take for granted now in modern day history and modern day time. But man, the fact that blacks with equal money could not move next to the white in a development and can buy the house and pay cash almost, good credit, everything else, because of the color of their skin, they can't live there. But we got it passed. So all of a sudden, the Voters' Rights Act. Can't vote in the South if you don't own a piece of property. Can't vote if you haven't paid your taxes up. All that's been changed now because of the organized structure of the effort under Martin Luther King and SC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And at that time, with Roy Wilkins and NAACP, and it functioning different all over the country, look at the embarrassment of our NAACP right now. With Shirley, what's her name, you know, the black lady that they fired that made the speech at the NAACP convention a few years back because a reporter dug it up and says she made racial comments or this, that, the other. And NAACP jumps out. They put heat on the administration and telling our president this lady needs to be fired right away from the farm thing she was under, that program, the agriculture department, agriculture department. And NAACP jumps on that, this new modern day thinking of NAACP. The old guys with old school would have never done that. They jumped on that situation and started bombarding the White House to get to the president to insist that he step in through his staff and get this lady fired from the agriculture department. When it comes out and you view the whole tape, the president had to eat humble pie, NAACP had to eat humble pie, he went to the lady's house apologizing and all that. Old school would have never made a mistake like that because they would have looked at it first, investigated thoroughly, and then from there, they would have been supportive or they would have been out making a hard statement and taking action.
Question. Mm-hmm. Why is there such a growth of black churches? Are they needed?
Well, I would say yes, they're needed. They tell me we got 18 here in Southbridge alone. I didn't know we had that many. I knew we had quite a few, but I didn't know we had 18. But nonetheless, are they needed? Heck yeah. Man, when you look at the fact that we have lost 2 or 3 generations of young black people, male and female, babies having babies, unsafe sex, HIV explosion, death by HIV, dirty needles and shooting up the dope and whatnot, babies having babies. When you look at the whole ugly picture, the guns, the shootings, the violence that goes on, when you look at that whole picture, then it clearly says that we not only need all the churches, but we need the churches going out and recruiting in the communities and networking out. Some do.
Why aren't more churches doing that?
I would imagine because with what they consider, quote unquote, to be busy about the church business, they don't see that as a priority. And God knows many of our young people today, and I'm talking about many of these new modern day grandmamas that's walking around with the thongs on and walking around with mini skirts and push-up bras and their breasts hanging out. The new modern day grandmama, as well as these young kids I'm talking about, the youngsters, young adults, they all need to get in that church house and reclaim not only the good Lord and the godly way, but morals about themselves, their family, their community, and how we need to live life to be successful people as a person, not just black, as a person. There are certain things that you must do to be successful as a person as you live your life. And you
Question.
can bend the rules all you want, but it's going to come out upside down for you if you don't do it the right way.
Who do you believe is responsible for the drugs getting into the United States of America?
I think it's our government. Our government has been able to put a man on the moon and to master anything that our government wants to master. The drug market is such a powerful money producer. Billions of dollars in this United States. And a lot of that money is being filtered down to people in powerful places. Some, I would dare say, even on Capitol Hill, by virtue of laundried money that they call clean and think they can really hide unless there's some really major investigation that accidentally yanks the covers off of some of them. You see, accidentally yanks the covers off. Many of those folks sit by and will run all kind of interferences to ensure that that drug market will continue. You know, the truth of the matter is the story of Scarface, Al Pacino. Scarface. And the dope that come into the country. And the people in the city hall, some of the congressional people that go to these drug dealers, aid and help them with phone calls and with judges when they're busted. These are people higher up, United States senators, congressmen, mayors, state reps, council people. If for as long as there's no term limits, number one, okay? A lot of elected officials argue term limits are every 2 years, every 4 years, every 6 years, whatever my term requires. So they don't want to vote for term limits. You see, they don't want to get the heck out of there for fear of not being able to feather their own nests and continue to grab every pile of 30 pieces of silver they can put their hands on. You see, if the people, see, here's the problem. We in America are under a democratic society. One man, one vote, majority rule. Okay? Some tough races going on right now with the Tea Party because they organized right here with Mike Castle getting upset with O'Donnell, Chris O'Donnell. You see, when the people get fit up enough and organize and go to work, the people can turn it all around. They got to be fired up, they got to be angry, and they got to be under the right leadership for the right cause and issues. If that happens across the country in these congressional districts and the representative districts, and it's happening in some of them right now, but it's for the wrong reason. They're doing it under the manipulation of the Republican Party to want to take the Congress back and take the White House back, number one. So they're using Barack Obama and the debt that we're now in with 2 wars and all that he had to fix because the bottom caved in on everything. And they're saying, this man is getting us further in debt. He's going to cost our great-great-great-grandkids to be in debt in this country. He don't know what he's doing. Then the talk show hosts are Rush Limbaugh and all these crazy folks. The electorate, for the most part, in my opinion, has been brainwashed. Brainwashed. The only one that had the concept of yes, we can and change and was going to hit the ground running going in Washington as he did was Barack Obama. He wanted to change all that, get the lobbyists the hell out of here. But he ran into a stumbling block even with some of his own Democrats in the House and Senate. Because of the payola, because of the kickback, the lobbyists and their friends and the trips and junkets and donations to these congressmen and senators' campaigns. So Barack had to back off. It was much more that's good for the American people in the health care bill that Barack had to take out to get a compromise among his own Democrats to pass the legislation. So these folks that are fired up and saying throw the bums out are looking at the wrong issue. It's not Barack Obama and the Democrats. It's the Republican and the brainwashing and the party of no blocking much more that could have been done. And the people that are going to catch the brunt of it, if it runs as it is with the polls, and they may end up taking a majority in the House and or the Senate maybe, and or picking up a lot of extra seats even if they don't, they're going to allow for the filibuster to continue because Senate won't have 60 to cut it off. They're going to allow for the filibuster to continue in the House, and they're going to lobby and lobby till they beat the president down and make him back off important pieces of that legislation he's pushing for, whatever it is. And who's going to suffer? These folks that are running around here now that are hyped and hell-bent on making a change and getting ready to vote against the Democratic Party. Tithing is to support your church. 10%.
That's why it's mandatory.
10%. No. 10%. My understanding is that can be with finance and volunteerism and help with the church. Or if you don't have it or can't do it, volunteer and help. Help to get the Lord's word out. Help to reach out to those that are less fortunate and or equally as unfortunate as you, to help make life better for all. That's the godly way. So it's not all about money by way of tithing as I hear it and being shared with me by my pastor, the Reverend Derek Porter, who's now just moved up. My understanding of it is that to give back, to give to help the church is where we should be. I could never see me paying a pastor a decent salary, being a member of a congregation, and then having Pastor's Day where it's mandatory. Now, if you want to give him a little something because he's going on vacation, that's one thing to help out, particularly if he's not getting a large salary. But to say it's mandatory of everybody to put something in the envelope for the pastor to go away with, take a vacation, that's ludicrous, foolish. It's foolish.
Well, I find that most people...
majority of the pastors live in the parsonage, or either they pay for where they live at. So they're absent of a lot of the taxes that the church and how they receive their money, you see, which costs society. Nonprofits right now, and mainly churches, the large mega churches that have various tax breaks and pay little taxes based on the money they take in, are doing a heck of a disservice to this country, because if you can build the big mega church, like the guy out there in California that just in LA that took over a few years ago, the stadium where the Lakers used to play. I've been there a couple times with my kids. You know, they can take these places. Joel Osteen, with that great big place he has that was a football field or something. You know, if you can do all this, then you can help the government to be able to run too, to help the poor and those less fortunate. And I know they say, well, we do things and we feed the hungry in Haiti and we go do this and we're sending medicine. All that's good. But when you look at that, what you're spending versus what your pile is of cash and what you keep buying and trying to duck in your personal